where is this 330 billion naira? We're seeing reports that 8 million households have benefited from this. This was first mentioned by Minister Wale Edun some weeks back and then reconfirmed by the president in his Independence Day speech, and has, of course, dragged a lot of criticism. So how do we verify that 330 billion naira actually reached 8 million households?
All right, this is actually another familiar terrain. It is deja vu. I mean, we have had this pathway in the past that never led into any meaningful development. There is no government anywhere in the world that uses handout as a means for poverty alleviation or for purposes of strategic development. Over the years, government in this country have been very deliberate to set up programs that provide some level of distortion and cannot be connected to the strategic economic policies. And the idea behind it is not to target citizens, but basically to be able to advance individual and greed within the system. And of course, we know too well how typical corruption had played out in our country. But what are the two most important elements that we need to take home from here? One, over the years, some years ago, I had actually made a request for a register of those who have benefited from this in the past. And the question I got back in return was that poor people don't want to be associated with poverty, and that those registers cannot be made public, and that it is actually not in the interest of those people who are taking to be seen that their names are being published in the public space. And I think this is not very correct. And I think there should be a register, one that suggests very clearly how very important and how transparent this process had gone. Two, is whether or not those who are actually taking this money are not those associated with political parties and world structures across these local areas, and not basically the indicators of those who are truly poor. And I think that is also something to get very worried about. And maybe most fundamentally, there's a report from PricewaterhouseCoopers, and that report suggested that only 36% of those individuals who have been targeted have been reached, who have received only one tranche so far, a minimum of one tranche. And I think, again, the president needs to do a review of whether or not this is actually the best way to go as a sustainability effort towards making citizens see reasons with how to get out of poverty. What this does, the consequences of all of this, is that it creates a dependent or dependency citizenship where people just depend on handout for purposes of